The last 7 years of working for West Midlands Police, I worked on homicide. A man had kidnapped a woman, he'd killed her, he'd dismembered a body, and he'd buried her in several different locations. Generally, it comes down to a couple of different topics, doesn't it? Money, sex, drugs. Not once with all those murders and horrific things that I saw was I ever diffused or given a debrief or anything. You know, lockdown had a massive part to play in a lot of child deaths. You might hear about some high-profile cases. Doesn't mean to say other things haven't happened.
Yeah.
You know, and I've worked on many of these cases. See, in the police, there's a lot of affairs that go on.
Yeah.
So trusting men in relationships, because I've been there for 20 years and everyone's shagging everyone.
Good afternoon, everybody. So here I am again at Cambridge Country Club, the palatial Cambridge Country Club, Spa Sports Centre Gym. I'm interviewing Hayley Owens. She's an investigator, miscarriages of justice.
Yes, that's
one of your
what I'm
categories.
interested in now. That's more so what I'm interested in now.
Former police officer for...
So I was a homicide investigator for West Midlands Police.
And how long did you do that for?
I was investigating for the police for 7 years. Prior to that, I worked in police custody. So I wasn't investigating then, I was working for the police in the custodial environment.
Okay, it's been interesting, considering I'm a miscarriage of justice.
Yeah.
And once you've read my book, you might want to investigate me.
I've got your book next to my bed, actually.
Yeah, but you haven't read it yet.
Not yet, it's in the queue. There's a queue.
I've got a queue and it pops up my bed. I've got 4 stacks of them. And there's a gap on my bed like that. Yeah, and I've started 2 more stacks. Me and my partner, Gemma, we both like reading, so any minute now we're going to start like a, not reading class, but we're going to read together an hour here and there. She'll do an hour on her book, I have an hour on mine.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, for different reasons. It brings a bit more to a relationship as a couple, but we're not here for marriage guidance. Yeah. So I've got the pleasure of interviewing Hayley today. So thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Today we haven't got any of the usual backdrops. I forgot them. Leaving my house at 7 o'clock this morning is my excuse. I had everything packed. I didn't go to the store to get the fitted up and fighting back and my marketing stuff up. So please excuse me for that if you're wondering where it is, but it will be up next time. So tell me a little bit about how come you got into being an investigator? What made you go from investigating from the police to investigating for who? Yourself, or who is it for? So
I do investigation work now, but I don't talk about what I do at the moment, just because you know yourself, like when you can't talk about certain things. So at some stage I'll talk about what I'm doing now, but the reason I got into investigations, do you know what, Kev? Every job I've ever landed in is by accident. I didn't want to be an investigator. I just applied for it because I was sick of working in custody.
Okay.
But I applied for working in custody because I was being made redundant from somewhere else. You know, it's not like I've got this vision of where I want to go. It just all sort of just comes together.
Do you find you have a passion for this?
Now, yes.
Because and I believe that police officers, human nature, get emotionally involved. The hours you put into a case, you then become emotionally involved to see it through, and you want a result. Yes. Which can lead to the fair cop gov. And in the old days, the fair cop was bend the rules a bit, do this, do that. Not fitting up, we would say, but it is fitting up. However, it was more of a bend the rules a little and round the edges to a square box. So I believe that police officers get emotionally involved and hide statements, don't disclose them, and so on and so forth as a starting point. But do you find in your new position as an investigator that you got a passion for it because you're emotionally involved for the victim.
So for me, and do you know what? I've never seen any sort of corruption like that in 20 years. And it's the God's honest truth. I've never seen anyone hide a statement or not disclose it. But that's probably just because I'm not aware of it.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's not happening. It just means that I'm not aware of it. But the passion and the investment that you get into seeking justice, and generally sort of the last 7 years of working for West Midlands Police, I worked on homicide. So quite a few times I would be allocated to a family as a family liaison officer. So you do become emotionally invested.
Seeing tragedy, upset.
And you see their grief and you become engulfed in their grief.
Yeah.
So you do take it home to a degree where, you are thinking about it more than you should. It's not clock out and go home and forget about it. It became a bit like that for me towards the end. And that's when I thought to myself, I'm not sure that this is normal. So I had a friend who, we had a case where a man had kidnapped a woman, he'd killed her, he'd dismembered a body, and he'd buried her in several different locations. And a friend who I'm still very good friends with now, he said to me, I'm thinking about this a lot when I'm going home. And I was like, I haven't thought about, as soon as I've clocked out, I have not thought about this again. And then I thought, shit, is that normal? I'm becoming that desensitised to the amount of murders that I'm seeing and dealing with that I was actually switched off to it. So yes, in one aspect, the family liaison work, you can become so engulfed in the grief, and you go in from the very, very beginning, day one, to the day of the trial, which sometimes can take years that you've been with this family, to then towards the end of working for that department, the complete opposite.
It's interesting. So different horse, but the same jockey, so to speak, is a friend of mine, George Shipton, former prison officer. He didn't realise that he did have post-traumatic stress once he left the job. And it came out in George sometime after. It's the terrible stuff that you'd witnessed and been party to that he'd seen.
Yeah.
Have you found anything like that?
Yeah, so at several points, not since I've left, but for the 20 years that I was working for West Mids, I probably had a decade's worth of therapy. Never through the police. You have to seek it out yourself. Not once with all those murders and horrific things that I saw was I ever diffused or given a debrief or anything. So in terms of your mental health, you've got to be willing to sort that out yourself. And I did. And I've probably had, for 20 years, I'd say half of that was therapy.
So what age did you go in at?
18.
And that was as a normal PC?
No, so I was a custody officer.
So, yeah.
I was a custody officer. And 13 years I spent being a custody officer, but at 18 I had no children and I had quite a carefree life. Obviously, when I got married and had my kids, all of a sudden, dealing with paedophiles every day is different to when you haven't got your own kids.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's not as bad, but what I'm saying is I'm thinking about it. So, for an example, when my kids went to school, well, from the minute they were born, no one was looking after them kids but me. And no one ever looked after them. They never had sleepovers anywhere. It was me or my mum, really. Their dad, we were married at the time. But when they went to school and they went to a Catholic school, I remember one day my son coming home and saying that they'd been to Mass, and I just had a meltdown. I went into the school, I was like, he says he's been to church, who was there, how long were you there, was he left alone? I'm convinced he's been fiddled with by a priest because I'm dealing with these people every day. So it was 100% of my world. I'm dealing with sports coaches, teachers, priests.
People you would never expect it of.
In a position of trust for sex offences against children.
Yeah.
So I was actually really unwell at one stage. Those kids weren't going out of my sight. I mean, my eldest has just left school. So, things change over the course of time. They're both bigger than me now. They're big lads. So it's almost like different now. But at the time when they couldn't talk and they didn't understand, they're so innocent, I was paranoid.
And that, I would say, originates from the fact that you're interviewing and seeing people on a regular basis that you look at them and you speak to them without, prior to not knowing what they've been arrested for, you think, oh my God, this person conducts himself and comes across as a trustworthy person, respectable, that you would never in a million years even enter your thought that this person is interfering with children, minors. So once you've had that, that's impregnated in your brain, and your alarm bells and your alarms are out there looking for it every day, especially around your own children.
Exactly that. And through having therapy, so, you know, I was very unwell at the time. I didn't trust anybody, to the point where I could be walking my dog with a double pushchair, and I'm walking through the park, and it's, I don't know, 9:10 in the morning, and I've got an old man walking towards me. Now, he's probably just going to buy a paper, but to me, he's got bowel conditions that he's not allowed outside his house until the schools are in, because that's normal for me, because that's what I'm dealing with every day.
Yeah.
So this is how much it affected my life whilst I was still there. And it got to a point where I just had to get out of there. I thought, I'm ill, I'm actually ill.
10 years of therapy. A lot of people don't, therapy, it's a load of nonsense. I had therapy when I came home from prison for 2 years. I paid for it for myself. And I see a leading therapist, Anthony, excellent, in Berkeley Square in London, sitting there talking. I wanted to find out if there's anything wrong with me, any cognitive defects, which we've all got, some minor ones and some more and some others. And he actually said to me, I wouldn't have known you've got anything wrong with you if you'd been to prison, if you hadn't told me, Kevin. You're just so normal, especially under the circumstances of what you've been housed. And I say that to you respectfully, in that the circumstances of what you were working were exceptionally traumatic and stressful without you realising.
Absolutely.
So the 10 years of therapy has been your path to recovery, in that getting it out by speaking about it.
Yeah.
And I recommend that to anybody that has any issues or things that are always rolling around in their brain. Go and speak to someone, because once it's out, you've aired it, you've shared it, and you will get some feedback and some discussion. And you found your therapy, some people don't agree with it to begin with, but overall 10 years worth, you must have found it extremely useful.
I have. And now I feel I'm the strongest. I mean, I'm 41 now. I'm the strongest I've ever been. I feel that I haven't sort of had any mental breakdowns, so to speak, for a long time. But it didn't just manifest in that way. So yes, when my kids were little, that was the trauma. And the therapists call it different things. They might call it vicarious trauma. They might call it post-traumatic stress. And then
I've never heard of
vicarious trauma is like quite a big one, that is a trauma from, like, say, your job. A lot of maybe nurses or doctors can experience it as well. And so we were sort of giving it these labels at one stage, but then as time progressed, funny enough, I never felt any sort of trauma working on the homicide department, and I was there for 7 years. But I don't know whether I'd had so much therapy at that point that I was able to box it off. But one of the other things was trusting. See, in the police, there's a lot of affairs that go on.
Yeah.
So trusting men in relationships, because I've been there for 20 years and everyone's shagging everyone. So
you hear that all the time.
So that had a problem. That had an impact on me having relationships with men, because I think, well, no one can be trusted.
Well, and, you know, something that just jumped out of the box there is that I think that the shagger rabbit syndrome in the police force comes from deep emotion, where you need someone can understand, or you can talk to in the job, that is sharing, you've got something in common where you're releasing that stress, as well as being attracted to someone. You can be attracted to someone without wanting to have sex with them. You can think, they're a nice person.
Yeah.
I like the way they look. But then, because you're actually experiencing something within you, that person experiencing something within them, at that very present time in the job, not that there and then, but, you know, over the months or the years, it comes out in discussion, and then you're into each other.
Absolutely.
Do you agree with that?
It's almost a trauma bond.
Yeah, trauma bond. That's a good term.
Yeah, so it's almost that within your role. And actually, and you see it so much where you know, ordinarily, maybe in any other circumstance, you might not look twice at that person. They're not your type, maybe. You're not physically attracted to them. But because you're bound by this trauma, say if you're working together on a case, or maybe even officers that are out on response together, turning up to 999 calls, they're spending 8 hours in a car together, minimum, really. You become sort of close.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you might go out to a suicide that, you know, that's a particularly bad, or a child death that's particularly bad, and then you...
Someone's upset, you have a cuddle.
Is formed, isn't it?
Moving on from that, let's just not keep it too doom and gloom. We're saying that. You've had some, I would imagine, some horrific cases. So what would you say are the most unforeseen outcome of an horrific case? So you would never believe, you know, like who done it? And at the end of the whodunit, you've got to guess, and it's the person you never would have thought of. Anything like that?
You know what?
Or you always had a suspect, or you had to find a suspect for investigation or
Yeah,
leads.
and I've talked about this many a time. Generally, it comes down to a couple of different topics, doesn't it? Money, sex, drugs, all three sometimes, you know, sex/love, crimes of passion. Generally, when there's a murder committed, you think, right, okay, let's look at this person's lifestyle. Or let's say a female's been killed, right, you know, straight away they look at the partner. Things like that. It generally comes down to those three topics: money, sex/love, drugs. And that can be, you know, money and drugs with a lot of gang-related crimes, because Birmingham, where I work...
That's the gangs.
Huge gang issue.
Yeah,
so
Burger Boys, Johnsons.
Yeah. So there would be murders all the time.
I know both parties of them.
Do you?
I served time with both parties.
Of course.
Yeah, and knew both parties well. And liked both parties. And yet they were killing each other.
Yeah. Because there's a territory, isn't there?
It's crazy.
So that, you know, it comes down to the money and the drugs and the territory, if you like. It covers both, doesn't it? But there's not many that you think, like, who's done it? There was, in fact, a lad, was it 2017, I think it was? James Brindley's name was. He was walking through the park going home in Birmingham, in Aldridge, nice area, and he was stabbed to death in the park. And it took weeks to find out, and it was two brothers in the end that had done it. And there was nothing. That lad, he weren't involved in drugs. It wasn't over a girl. There was nothing. Honest to God, we were literally scratching our heads for weeks. And eventually, these two brothers were identified as being involved, and they've been convicted of it. I think one of them may have got away with it. I can't really remember the details now. I did a podcast myself with his sister, because they've built a foundation off the back of this, the James Brindley Foundation. So we talked about it a couple of years ago. But that one was a real... There was no rhyme or reason to why he never should have lost his life. You know, there wasn't anything that he'd done. It was... I referred to him as being in the wrong place at the wrong time, but I remember his sister sort of saying, no, he was where he should have been at that time. He was walking home from the pub with his mates on his own, on the phone to his girlfriend at the time. She heard everything. She was in Manchester, I believe.
How horrific.
Yeah, and heard everything, him being stabbed to death on the phone.
And the nature of the murder, it just stopped him, had a go.
Yeah, you know, just
intent on killing someone.
You know, one of these shoulder barge, you know, like... Would imagine it was literally something as petty as that, and then stabbed him, life gone.
Unreal.
Yeah.
And how old were all three of them?
The brothers were young. I can't remember how old he was. He was in his 20s at the time. I still, follow the journey with the family and stuff on social media. And it actually happened on my birthday. I always remember it. It was the 23rd of June. And then they sort of advertise when it's his birthday, and they do lots of walks and raise money and awareness and things. They've had some knife bins put up in Walsall in Birmingham, you know.
I wear a knife band.
Similar, sort of campaign. The knife bins up in Walsall. They're very good at sort of campaigning you've heard of the Benkin Cellar Trust?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I went to the
I was the way with the fellow that stabbed him.
oh, okay. So
Drink.
Drink.
It's down to drink. He had a bad drink problem.
Right. See, it's just ridiculous,
And then
isn't it?
I came home and met his mother with a partner. She was excuse going off the path here a little. Former partner's sister was friends with the mum, and I met her at a barbecue. So sad.
Very sad. I went, the Benkin Cellar Trust, I'm sort of signed up to their email subscription, so I get the updates, and they lead Knife Crime Awareness Week. I went last year to the House of Parliament and went and listened to all the key speakers and things like that. This year I couldn't go, but they record a lot of it and they share it via email, so I'm still in the loop to a degree. But at this, there you meet people that you've worked with, you know, because of the area of work that I've been in. There's lots of sort of politicians, knife crime awareness campaigners, things like that you end up meeting, and there's a lot of people doing some good work around.
It's the problem is with the criminal justice system when you're trying to bring awareness and highlight cases and difficulties within the system. It is very long-winded, and there seems to be stumbling blocks in the path collectively across the board.
Yeah.
Instead of addressing the problem there and then dealing with it. A Prime Minister will come into the government and say, as you've just had, I'm going to change the educational system.
Yeah.
Wallop in one go. No debates, this is what we're doing. Why does it take years in this country to get something changed in some areas? With
Yeah.
something so serious. Do you find that is a big problem within the system?
Yeah, do you know, the law and the criminal justice system is very antiquated, isn't it? Some areas of law haven't been visited in years and years and years and years. So when people are trying to campaign for a change in the law, or and bring a new law, so we have Clare's law now, don't we, for domestic abuse. Which is fantastic. There's Sarah's law. Ronan Canda's mum's brought in Ronan's law. That's a knife crime aspect. I worked on that case before I left the police. So fantastic, but like you say, you might have to jump through hoops and, really have to struggle to get generally basic stuff brought in.
Yeah, crackers.
And some of the laws, there was a drama, I Fought the Law. Did you watch it?
No, I don't.
It was a mum of a woman who'd been killed, and basically it was a double jeopardy law. She got it changed, and they brought a drama out about it. It was Sheridan Smith that played.
Yeah, good
mummy.
actress.
Yeah, and it was fantastic. People like that I admire so much because, they're battling for years and years and years and years and years to get the laws changed because it's antiquated. It's an old system. We've got to move with the times sometimes, haven't we?
Yeah, Sheridan Smith used to follow me.
Did she?
Used to message me. I'll check to see if I haven't spoken to her for a couple of years or such, maybe been 3-4 years. But yeah, she messaged me and was following me, Sheridan. I was over the moon. I thought, wow,
Yeah.
and then to have someone of her her position. But yeah, great actress. Tell me some stories. In terms of, is there anything? A funny story. I mean, things that may have happened in the police force, and I don't suppose you get many funny stories in the police force, do you?
You do, yeah. I mean, the police generally, I think, and a lot of people that I've met and I'm still friends with, you get quite a dark humour because you're dealing with such negativity all the time that you almost turn it into humour.
Yeah.
And in this day,
without understanding that, I do understand that because where I've been is traumatic, but I can see the side of that because I've seen plenty of it.
Yeah, but it's quite frowned upon because people nowadays, I mean, public confidence in policing is at an all-time low. I think everyone can agree on that. But if you're from the outside looking in, you've got no knowledge of the police system and what they go through on a daily basis, and then you might see in the press that there's a police officer that's been, found guilty of having memes on their phone or something like that.
What's memes?
Like these, how would you describe a meme, Christian?
sort of sometimes funny, dark, short videos.
Yeah.
Some are slightly offensive.
Yeah, like a joke. You might say like something that's, I don't know, it's a joke, basically. They're shared in the millions on social media every single day. And
And I don't know about it.
you will have seen them, but that might be shared and it might be found on a police officer's phone, for example.
Okay, I've heard that, yeah.
You with me?
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden, they're then like, oh, you can't find that funny. It doesn't.
They're reprimanded for that, aren't they? Yeah, the comedians stand on the stage and talk about it.
Yeah, you don't go around a Ricky Gervais concert going, hang on, what's your job? You're not allowed to laugh at that. You know? You've got to have a certain level of dark humour to cope.
Then, so now being on the outside looking in at the police force and all of it, give us some views on your thoughts on that.
Your book and your profile is Fitted Up and Fighting Back, isn't it? And I completely, don't doubt that for 1 minute.
Nick Hopkins from The Guardian named it that.
Okay.
He used to work for Newsnight, a leading journalist, now runs a crime department, but yeah, he named it that.
And I don't doubt that has happened to you, because I think there is corruption everywhere. I do genuinely think that. Have I ever... I don't think I was anywhere near the top of the food chain to witness any corruption, because I think it's higher up, to be honest. I personally have never witnessed any. It happens, of course it happens. But personally for me, I remember getting in an argument with someone on Instagram because she basically said, if you're in the police, you're corrupt. And, I don't really bite at much on social media, but I ended up going back at her going, well, no, that's just not true, is it? No. If you're in the police, you're not automatically 100% corrupt. But she's saying, yes, you are. I agree with you there. Because there's people out there doing a great job. I'm still friends with some of them. Yeah. They're doing a fantastic job, and they're not going to work every day going, oh, let's be corrupt. They're just going to make a difference.
We have to bear in mind that we live in a civilised country, and there's a lot of police haters out there, but looking at this in a manner that is appropriate, without the police force, this country would be a lot worse. What happens when your child goes missing, your dog or your cat? Some people, on with cat stuck up a tree, you phone the fire brigade. The first port of call, 99% of the country pick up the phone and phone the police. We need a police force in this country to make it law-abiding, otherwise it would be chaos. We'd have a chaotic system with far more deaths, rapes and murders within this country, which we are experiencing now because of an influx of new people. We've got an influx of that crime from those people, but going off the track there a little bit, but we do need a police force is the point I meant to make, and I'd like you to consider that when you hear of a tragedy and who those people had to go to. They'd have no one to go to if we didn't have a police force. It'd be run by gangs, and then the gangs would have their own laws, their own rules, and it'd be far more corrupt and horrific. In some countries, it's gangs that run the country. You go out to the African states, it's run by gangs and warlords. Is that what we want over here? Don't think so. No.
You're so right. You're hitting the nail on the head there. If your child went missing, you'd phone the police. If your partner went missing,
I wouldn't phone no one. I would, love. I've searched the mountains for you, sweetheart.
But with the technology that the police can use in terms of proof of life, they can check the banks, they can check the phone usage. We need that. We need to be able to use that technology in this day and age to identify whether that person is still alive. So...
And prevent more murders, put that person away.
Yes, exactly. So we do need them, absolutely 100%. I'm pro-police. What I believe now is that the public confidence in policing is at an all-time low, myself included. I live on a council area in Birmingham. I've been brought up on, the same estate my whole life. So, I've seen...
This is because the country's at war with the immigration system.
Yeah.
A lot of the country.
Yeah.
So they're going on marches and they're having to have conflict with police officers
Yeah.
over something that the police officers also feel quite strongly about as well. Yeah. But they can't be on that side of the fence, because this side of the fence, they've got to enforce the law. And then they've got to wrap people up. They're in situations where it's quite an electric atmosphere, and responsible action is pretty much out the window to a certain degree, because everyone's waiting for the brick, the bottle, or someone to kick off. I see an incident the other day in Scotland where they was bringing out 2 rapists out of court that were given bail after holding a woman hostage and raping her for a number of days. And I see this on a news clip a gentleman was talking about the other day in Scotland, and you could tell his job was quite politically background. The particulars from that show where the country is at fault here. So a demonstration took part that evening in Glasgow. Some protesters who participated in that protest, no violence or destruction. But I think the police were called to kettle them. Is it called kettle? I've never heard the kettle probably means give them a good hiding in Scotland. I should know because I'm half Scottish. But 4 o'clock in the morning, people's doors went through. Those people were taken to court and remanded. Where do you think the rapists were living?
Yeah.
In the same block of flats as the woman.
See, it don't make sense. And it's, Jay that should have been with us today, Jay Dartmoor.
I didn't want to mention him, but now we have. I only didn't want to mention him because of his he wasn't able to make it. He wrote The Job Is Fucked.
Yeah.
He was serving in the police force for a number of years. You would know that off by heart.
10 years he worked for the police force, yeah.
And he left the job because of?
Do you know what? I think he just had enough. And
dissatisfied with them, wasn't he?
Just pissed off with them, like, in the end. And maybe we're too loud for her.
Blimey.
Jay should have been with us today, but he talks about this, and how much the job is fucked. But one of his books that he's got is called The Job's Fucked. His podcast is called The Job's Fucked. But he's just brought another book out called The System Is Fucked, which basically sums all of this up. And, in order to research for his book, he talks to judges, he talks to probation officers, he'll talk to barristers, people that are day in, day out dealing with the system, which is fucked.
Fucked, yeah.
Yeah. So he, hopefully we'll get another day in with him. I've talked to him a bit on his own channel. I've done a bit of work on my channel with him. And there is no 2 ways about it. The system is fucked.
I'm writing another book, and it's going to be about the system for family law.
Okay.
So I've got quite a lengthy experience with that. We've backed in to see my son, gaining access, seeing him, and then back in the courts, the mother and I consistently. However, I'm going to detail directions from judges in court that are, quite frankly, on paper, appalling.
Yeah.
When there's been particulars presented from the police, particulars presented from other directions that are ignored, not found at the time of another hearing on the system, computer system. And then I can't go into it, but things that happen in court cases in the system, another legal system, that is failing abysmally. And it's failing millions of people in this country, men and women, in a system where it should be protecting both parties and dealing with them in a reasonable time. But it's based on probabilities.
And the
family
as
law.
well, when you bring social services and things like that into the mix as well, because let's say it can be failing mothers and fathers of children based on whatever, I don't think I'm not sure Kafkas are still going.
Yeah, they are.
Are they, right?
They are.
So, children's services. And then on the other hand, on the flip side, I've worked on child murders where, well, why haven't you acted in that same way for that child? Because now that kid's dead because you haven't done your job.
Yeah.
So, I've worked on, and these are the other things. I'd had a lot of therapy at the point I'd worked on homicide, but I'd worked on a couple of child murders. And, you know, I had cried on the way home and hugged
But
my
you've seen
kids.
some horrific pictures.
Things. And then when you see the evidence behind the scenes and how those children were let down, you know, lockdown had a massive part to play in a lot of child deaths.
Did it? Okay.
Because kids weren't going to school.
Yeah.
So, you know, when kids are going to school, teachers can keep an eye on them. They're getting fed, for one.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if that might be the only meal they're having. So obviously when COVID and lockdown came into play, some kids, you know, the teachers weren't seeing kids. So there was a lot of abuse and neglect going on.
For such a long period of time.
For a long period of time. There was a lot of child deaths through lockdown. You don't hear about them all in the news. You might hear about some high-profile cases, but just like any crime, the media might run with one story and not another. Doesn't mean to say other things haven't happened.
Yeah.
You know, and I've worked on many of these cases where kids have been let down or, you know, died, unfortunately. And then you look at the background and you think, well, if children's services had been as stringent with what they were doing there, then that child wouldn't have lost its life. Yet you have the family courts where parents are being penalised. I mean, even adoption, just very, very quickly. You've got people just producing kids left, right and centre. People who abuse themselves, abuse drugs, abuse their bodies, abuse children, yet they're allowed to reproduce. And then friends of mine who are absolutely law-abiding citizens and beautiful people haven't been able to adopt a baby.
It's crackers, isn't it?
And you think, how the fuck is that justice?
I can't understand the criminal justice system in terms of a paedophile wants the right to see the child, or someone who's battered their children because they've been on drugs at times, they're still allowed to see their children. Contact is stopped immediately, a lot of the time, because of an allegation that's made through child may be in danger because of an accusation that's made by a mother or a father, vice versa.
Yeah.
And the damage that is done to that child,
Yeah.
because they are done maliciously and vexatiously, without any foundation, but because either partner wants to hurt the other.
Yes.
So I had a situation where I raised the matter with somebody a little while ago, and I said, well, it doesn't make sense that they shouldn't have a system in place where, irrespective of the ongoing court case or allegation, that child should see that parent at a contact centre at the minimum to continue contact, not have a substantially length of time where there's no contact. It may be for years.
Yeah.
And I'm saying 2 or 3 years.
Yeah,
People think that can't be right. Well, I'm telling you now, it is right. I know one case, it is approaching 3 years where a parent has not seen their child after having formal contact, weekend contact and visitations and staying with that parent, ceased. That cannot be right. So the system is failing all parties in that case.
And I've got a bit of experience in this area because when me and my ex-husband divorced, we went through the family courts. And as a result, which I found quite offensive at the time, but I did benefit a lot from it, the court ordered us to go on a parenting course.
Yeah.
Not together, you have to go separately. And I would consider myself an outstanding mother. And I was like, send me on a parenting course. But you know what? I got so much out of it. And the one thing they said was, children can deal with separation. They can't deal with conflict. So just because you two, it happens all the time, people split up. You know, it's just the way of life, isn't it? But don't hate me more than you love them. Because that's what happens. Because there becomes such a hatred for the other person that it takes over the love of the child. So what, from the outside, like I just said, they can deal with the separation. They cannot deal with conflict. And then it becomes really difficult for the child and their upbringing. Because it's normal, my boys, from a very young age, have got used to going between mum's house and dad's house. Now, luckily for us, we get on very well now. But there was a period of time, because in most relationships, you might make the decision that we're not for one another, so we're going to part. And while there's no one else on the scene, you might get along. As soon as another party's introduced into that scenario, i.e. the man meets someone else or the woman meets someone else, it's fine. But when one party moves on, it goes tits up. And
love is a very strong drug.
Yes.
Because you can separate, but sometimes you can still have love for a person.
Yes. So not many...
doesn't mean you're in love with them.
No, not many relationships break down and are just harmonious till the end, are they? There's got to be a bump in the road here and there. And we had a bump in the road because as much as you can co-parent, it's fine when there's no one else on the scene. But when there's someone else on the scene, it causes issues. Because jealousy comes in from either side sometimes. Anyway, luckily for us...
I sleep with one eye open, just so you know, with my missus. Like that, I'm keeping an eye on you.
But, the biggest thing I took away from that, because sometimes, even when there is contact, there's nasty little messages being passed between the kids, or there's slagging off of the parents, your dad's this, your dad's that, your mum's this, your mum's that. They can't deal with that conflict.
No, the children should be sheltered from that, I believe.
Yeah, and we were actually ordered, it's actually in our court order. I mean, the kids are older now, it's not necessarily so much as a thing anymore. We haven't had issues for years and years. But at the time, we were ordered for there to be, even down to the letter in our court order, was to not slag each other's families off. That was actually written in our court order.
I fully agree with that.
Yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
think a child should be subjected to any type of trauma in relation to the parents as best you can. And what you've just covered there, I absolutely agree with it and adhere to it.
Yeah.
Before, without any court intervention they've never said that. And I go out of my way to protect my children in that manner. They're too young sometimes to have that burden them.
Yeah. Let them be kids.
Let them be kids, not them have to remember those times.
And it's fine for you to be separate. Kids these days are used to going between two houses. It's normal. But the conflict that comes with it, they will struggle with.
How did you find it when you've gone into a home and there's been a death of a minor, sometimes babies?
Yeah.
With the most... I can't envisage some of the things that are hinted about in reporting of a minor. That fellow that got killed a little while ago, he'd done the most... I think there was in fact, there were parents who adopted a baby and they were abusing the baby to the end with the baby.
2 men?
Yeah.
Yeah, saw it in the news.
And they were having sexual acts with the baby. I just can't get my head round that. I mean,
No.
Look, regardless of the physical ability of a minor to be able to... the baby's minor, it's small, it's tiny. What the hell could be construed as sexual acts other than what it is? And I'm thinking, my goodness me, those people should be put down, in my opinion, because they are not worthy of being alive. Murder's are one thing. Murder with such a disgusting want, thirst, a want to do those things to a person is a different type of person, in my considered opinion.
Yeah.
Would you say being...
Absolutely. I'll tell you the one thing I can't get my head around is the sentencing guidelines for different murders, right? So, for example, when you said death of a baby, I immediately thought of the first death of a baby that I ever dealt with. And I couldn't get my head round the starting point. It was life, but a starting point of 15 years. Because it was in the home with no premeditation, i.e. they've not took a weapon to a scene and there's no public around, etc., etc. He got 15 years. And I remember thinking, that's not right. So if you were to say go and commit a shooting or a stabbing on the street in the public domain, it's a starting point of 25 years. So but to me, that baby's innocent.
Yeah, I'll say it's worse.
10-year difference.
Worse.
And I could never understand those 10 years difference starting point. You can still mitigate down or aggravate up from there. You know how it works. You know, you could have a starting point of 25 years, but you could have aggravating factors that cause you to get 30 years, for example. Or you could mitigate down and only end up doing 20. We know how it works. But if your starting point is 15 years for the death of, for killing a child, how is that
And
right?
innocent.
A baby?
Yeah.
They're innocent.
Yeah. No, nothing. The horrific torture that baby must have gone through in its mindhood. What is happening to me?
Yeah.
It has got no one to call to.
Yeah.
The crime would have been probably muffled out with some sort of bleeding sock, pillow, I don't know. Oh, God.
Awful.
And I have to say, I'm not vocating people to go out and kill anybody, but I'm glad it happened.
Oh, those
Those people. What I've seen now in the system, and I've been saying it for a few years, is that you've got a lot of people in the prison system wanting to make a name for themselves because they've got 25 or 30 years and they don't see as they've got any life left, or they're probably never going to get released if they're very old or dead. So they want to make a name for themselves. So they then go on killing sprees in prison and have killed and cut and stabbed 2 and 3 people now.
And do you think, from your experience in being on that side, they target people like child sex?
Absolutely, they do.
Like that?
Yeah.
Because personally, for me, that's not a loss to society, is it?
No, it's not.
That's my opinion. I think last time we met, Ian Huntley was still alive.
Yeah.
He was on life support.
Yeah.
So when we last did our recording, we talked about him just about to be switched off potentially. He's not a loss, is he, to society?
No, it's not. And then those lads that do that, I can understand why they do it. They think, well, for what's happened to me, I'm going to give something back. As crazy as that seems. And they go and do that, not just wanting to make a name for themselves, but what, sod you, there's some people in here that don't deserve to be alive. They're taking the law into their own hands. Yeah. And I said earlier, we live in a civilised country. If you were to do a poll right across the board, from council estates to mansions, and say, do you believe that these people deserved to be killed, or they're better off gotten rid of in the first instance, or that no one's really bothered about it, to a sense? You can't just say, oh, go on a killing spree and kill loads of people. But people felt fair cause.
I can't see that wouldn't be 100% yes.
Yeah.
Because if it's not, are you part of the problem? Because if you're saying no to that, there's a problem, in my opinion.
A judge might argue with that because in law.
In law, obviously, it's a life.
And people would never understand the balancing of that, would they?
No,
when
because it's your morals then, isn't it?
The morals. But a judge in law will give you a different reasoning to it, to the jury when he's summing up.
Yes.
That's a better way of describing it, isn't
exactly.
it?
And I've sat through many a summing up in many a court trial, and exactly that. It'll come down to the law. And that person that killed, for example, Ian Huntley, he'll get a sentence for that as well, but he ain't bothered because he's already doing life anyway.
Silly sentence, a silly amount of time.
And like we were saying, if you're already doing the whole of your life, if you already know you're going to die in prison, it ain't really no great shakes, is it?
I'll tell you something about Ian Huntley. So I was in Whitemoor prison. He lived in March himself, which is Whitemoor's in March. At the time that took place, I was actually in Whitemoor. Years later, I got moved to Franklin, and I was with a pal of mine, Stuart Benson. Great crack, Stuart. Absolute great crack. Always happy. Sometimes, you have your times, but Stuart is a great crack. And we were down the healthcare system, and Huntley was 15 feet away from us in another room, and we could see him through the glass. Stuart verbally attacked him, all right, giving it to Huntley.
Could you hear him?
He was 15 feet away.
Yeah.
And he was giving it to Huntley verbally. Huntley reported it to staff. Stuart got nicked, lost the canteen for 2 weeks.
It just make sense.
Why can there be two cons? Yeah, you're going to not like him, he don't like you. Refrain from it, future, please.
Yeah, yeah.
Guy. 2 weeks, lost the canteen.
Yeah.
For the benefit of Huntley. I couldn't get my head around that one. But
there'll be, there's so many incidents where you won't catch your breath, things like that. There'll be stuff that we see in the news tonight, and you'll think, can you catch your breath? Just what's going on? Because the system is fucked.
The system is fucked, not just the job's fucked, eh?
Not just the job, the system is fucked.
Do you think prisoners should have a large say in the criminal justice system at a point of their age when they've experienced quite a bit of life, quite a bit of sorrow that impacts on their thought pattern, gives them time to reflect on their actions, the sentence that has been imposed on them, what benefits of that sentence has made them a better person, and allowed them to come out of an informed, not description, a formed opinion. Or I believe I have that because I've had many conversations about the criminal justice system, what would benefit and what haven't over the last 11 years. So much so, I've seen it, not saying it's just from my podcast and such, I've aired it, but I have had multiple of millions of views on collectively across the channels, where I'm airing stuff about prisons and where they're failing and where they're doing okay and where we're failing against European countries that are doing it far better than us, while we follow America and Canada, where they're doing courses like the essential thinker skills. We picked that up 12 years after is either Canada or America stopped doing it because it was a failing system. Yet we're now doing it again in the UK, renamed it under another name. I can't understand it. So if a prisoner was to be on a board and say, well, look, can you explain that, please?
Don't you think it all comes back to, you said the Prime Minister or the Education Secretary comes in and then they change that in education. Don't you think it all comes down to who's got that promotion at that time and what they're introducing? So your governor that steps in, they're going, we're going to introduce the EST course or whatever it is, So we're going to do that. We're going to call it
essential thinking skills.
Yeah. What is it? So,
ETS.
ETS. So that governor, because they've now stepped into that role as a promotion and they want to make a name for themselves and they want to say, we've done this, this and this. It's all bollocks.
Yeah, it is all bollocks.
So the same with the education, that law's now been changed. It's all constantly, I always find, and in organisations that I've worked for, they do it in the police. They'll go, we're going to do this. We're going to basically introduce this operation blah.
You're going to go on a training course. We're going to do
this and we're going to do that. And it's all because there's a new superintendent that's stepped in or a new chief constable that's come in or whatever it is. And they then need to make a name for themselves.
Yeah, and that's all it is. I was going to say that to you. Exactly the same. Tell me, if you was to have that power, Hayley, what laws would you change in terms of maybe a police investigation? You must have met many stumbling blocks in terms of what you would have liked to have done in that, how you'd have liked to have led that investigation, but you've got to tread carefully because of what you can do and you can't do.
Yeah, so I've always been a bit pissed off and put out on what is fed to juries, because juries never see the full picture of what the investigation holds.
In some countries, there's no non-disclosure.
Yeah. So in this system, we have the disclosure, don't we? And let's just say, for example, you've charged someone with a murder, you've got 6 months now to the trial, and in that 6 months, you'll build your case against the defendant, and it will be presented by a barrister in a particular way. And the jury, they're not always even in the courtroom, so there's many legal arguments, etc., or many things that they can't actually be privy to. And that, for me, I remember once dealing with a murder trial, and he'd murdered this bloke, and unbeknownst to the jury, he'd served time in a different country for murder.
Okay, so you're on about, it used to be called, not double jeopardy, when you've committed a crime, the jury are made aware of it. What's
Bad character.
Bad character. No, not bad character. They called it something else, didn't they? It might be bad character. I thought I had another heading.
We're not allowed to introduce bad character. We're not really allowed to talk about it.
But if you had a crime for rape and he was under another rape, the jury are now to be told.
Well, I just think, not necessarily. I think it all comes down to it on its individual merit. But I think juries should be
double jeopardy. I bet it's double jeopardy. Yeah, it's double jeopardy.
Double jeopardy is the one that no, it's being tried again. So with that lady I was telling you about, that documentary that was made and the drama Sheridan Smith, he was tried for the murder, got off with it, and then he couldn't be tried for it again on new evidence because he'd already been tried for it. So the double jeopardy law changed.
Gary Nelson was another one.
Right.
Shot PC Dunn. And about 14 or so many years later, double jeopardy. He was one of the first convicted of that.
Yeah. So I just think the jury system, like, because there's a big argument at the minute whether we should just do away with juries altogether. I'm not too sure on that. But sometimes...
Oh, that's a difficult one.
It's a difficult one.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure about that, but I do think... Because don't forget, there's always a narrative, isn't there? There's always what your hypothesis that you're working to for, you know, as an SIO of a murder trial. Or, you know,
And that means senior investigating officer, for those who don't know.
And if you're a senior investigating officer on a murder and then you've got a working hypothesis of what's happened, you're gonna work to suit your narrative, aren't you?
You are. But if you had to change something in terms of your investigation process, is there anything that jumps to mind now that in a murder case you couldn't do it, you had to seek senior approval before you could go and do it, and they said, no, you can't do that because of...
Yeah. Well, yeah, tell juries more.
Tell juries more.
Yeah, because I've sat in on trials where I'm thinking, yeah, but they don't know about that. Yeah, but they don't know about that.
It's bad character. You're right about that. You're bringing in your
and I'm not
previous.
saying that we should judge people based on their previous offences, not that at all. But there's other things that take place behind the scenes that the juries never know about.
Yeah.
And the relevancy
for
test,
or against.
Yeah,
the
relevancy test is subjective. So sometimes, you know, I just think it's a game. It's a big game. And, you know, they're there with the wigs and the gowns and my learned friend this and my learned... And it's like a fucking act.
Yeah.
And you sit there and you just think, fucking hell.
My prosecutor was in the same chambers as my counsel, my Queen's Counsel at the time, previously before they came to trial. During the trial, they went to Twickenham Rugby together. I think it's too close a process. I like the American system where you give defence and prosecutors, one or the other, throughout your career.
Yes.
And I don't... What do you feel about... I can see the logical sense if it was used logically without any biasness. Having police officers on juries for very difficult cases like fraud, and I wouldn't say murders, but say for drug exportation, trying to explain the systems. I'm not so sure. So on my second trial, I got convicted of a 10-2 majority. The foreman was a police officer. My jury was selected by the police. And then we could select from who they selected. The second jury are convicted on a 10-2 majority after 9 hours, I think, 9.5 hours of deliberating and found guilty. But the foreman was a police officer.
Well, as you were talking then, I was just thinking, because years ago they weren't allowed on the jury, were they?
No.
So now, if you've got a police officer that's on the jury, not only have they generally got an advantage over the knowledge of the law and how the court system works.
That's the logical side of it.
Which is most likely to make them a foreman, because they're gonna be probably, I say, best placed to be the foreman.
Whether it be a foreman on a building site, they've got knowledge and experience. I understand the makings of that.
But are they gonna? You see, the thing is, are they gonna have a bias towards the prosecution because of their job? But I mean, why that ever changed? I don't know.
I would say they have a bias. There'd be very few in the job that would see it collect straight down the middle, and on laws if they was a judge.
Yeah.
They would have some personal input as a human being.
Yeah.
Further to that, as a former police officer, or are they still allowed to serve as a jury if you're serving?
If you're still serving as a police officer, I'm sure you can.
That's something I've never considered until now, because a lot of people serve juries from their work, so yeah, it makes sense that they probably still can.
Yeah, I'm sure they can. But the thing is, it all comes down to beyond reasonable doubt, doesn't it? That's the what the jury are directed.
Cleverly chosen words and theatrical performances based on the evidence that is served upon you for the jury to have it put to them.
Yeah.
And let's have it right. The police have a duty to disclose any written or verbal statement under common law that undermines a prosecution case. That does not always happen.
No. And I think So sometimes, you know, some people, someone might be standing trial, let's say, for example, and they might have done it, 100% they've done it, but can you prove it beyond all reasonable doubt? Maybe not. You know, so the system doesn't always work, does it?
No, it doesn't always work. I can see the benefits of it, and you have to be objective in relation to this. So if it was a child case, I'd be biased to say, get him on there.
Yes.
So I'm
the thing is as
emotionally giving my view based on my belief and protection of children.
Yes.
And so that's where it becomes difficult, and probably a good way of explaining it, that I would want a police officer on that jury for the benefit of getting that arsehole convicted.
Yeah.
Difficult one.
Yeah, really difficult one. And I mean, I love watching things like...
I'm on about difficult one in where I'd make that decision in favour of...
police officers being on the jury.
Yeah, for that conviction.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't want it on myself and other people's in what they class as a criminal fraternity.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I find that I'm biased to it myself.
There's a for and against.
A for and against.
Yeah, I agree.
Really hard one, that.
It really is, but I find there's lots of these areas where you can see two sides of it, you know, bad character evidence, for example.
Yeah. Can I tell you a funny story?
I'd love to hear a funny story, Kev.
So my best mate, Marcus Lemaire,
Yeah.
we were quite prolific in our day. I've always worked, by the way. I'm a worker. But we'd go about and we'd get involved in some shenanigans. So in the police stations, as you will be aware of, you might have known figures in the area and you might have pictures of them.
Yeah.
Right, so my picture was in the police stations in the area with Marcus and another friend of mine, Mr. Wolf Yaman, Dave Wolf, right? Obviously Jamaican, come over in the Windrush, served in the army. Yes, man, right? And Dave was an older figure to us, but he was with us all the time, three of us, the three amigos. And we got arrested for a kidnapping. So it was I'll tell you two quick stories. So it was in a police station and was exercising in the yard of a new police station where all you've got is like a tower block, square walls.
Yeah.
You couldn't be Spider-Man to get out.
Yeah.
So we're walking around the yard. He's got one of my suits on. Some years ago, but I've always worn suits. I was about 21 at the time. I've got a suit on. We've been out there a while. Coppers are being as good as gold to us. No, not giving us no ag, you know, a cup of tea. Yes, please. Oh, I said, please, you know, I say it, please now. It's not because I'm in a police station, but there we go. They've opened the door. Coming in, you two. My best mate, I ain't coming in. We've been out here an hour. If you didn't want to go in, why didn't you tell me why you didn't want to go in? I'm thinking, right? I'm looked at him. I'm not going to say nothing because there's a copper standing there. I'm not going to argue in front of people like that in terms of...
He's your mate.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And he's going to... Come on, he says. He goes, I don't want to come in. All right, then. Shut the door. We can hear doors slamming, boots going up and down stairs and all the rest of it. I thought, why do you want to go in? Because I don't. Marcus, they've been as good as gold to us. Now you're going to get us rolling around the fucking floor with a load of coppers. You're going to get my suit torn as well, you know. Well, I don't want to go in. All right, then. You don't want to go in? We ain't going in. We're walking around the yard in silence, me and him. All right? Waiting for that door to open. The door's opened. He's going to have had enough now. And walked in, and then I've looked at him and thought, he's so unpredictable.
And were they mob-handed?
Mob-handed. Yeah. All I see was a sea of coppers. Kenny says, Marcus is unique. There's one off. There's no one ever else like him. We got nicked for another kidnapping once, very quickly. Wallet, they swooped on us. Was it exchange? That's what we was doing. And one of the cars we was in had been reported. That flagged. They swooped on us from there. And the people that was coming was the exchange.
Right.
Without any police being involved. We didn't have anybody in the car at the time. They were coming to give us some money for something had happened. They'd sold us something It was a car they sold us. The car was faulty in terms of it was a ringer. We said, right, we've caught you out. I went and took away the brother, let the brother go. I said, but now you get the money that I've paid you for my car, that car I've bought for you, and you can take the car back. They were coming to pay me, give me the money back. But in the meantime, my car had been reported as my car, and they wanted me. Now, someone had reported me for the kidnapping, right? So they flopped on us. You remember the old SPG vans, special patrol groups?
Yeah.
So we was in the back of like a Sherpa van type vehicle, but it was like the SPG. I can't remember the make and model of it. We've got police officers either side of us in the back of the wagon. There's like 6-handed in the back of the wagon, the coppers were, right? They're sitting there, not saying nothing. I don't even know him, he's gone. I've just met him down the road in the cafe, and he's offered to give me a lift down the road to pay my electric bill. Now, if I get cut off, I'll burst out laughing because knowing that our pictures are in every police station in the area.
As known associates.
And I'm crying my eyes out. I said, you silly bastard. I said, what's the matter with you?
God.
Yeah.
You've had some right laughs.
Oh, you know, I've had some right laughs in black humour.
Yeah.
When we're going into a police station, all right?
Yeah.
So we had another one where we got pulled in for. Again, I'm sitting there in my suit and I'm in the custody suite, so you would have been dealing with me.
Yeah, yeah.
All right? I've walked into the custody suite. Marcus is already there, right? Now, he got nicked on a kidnapping once because they said if Lane was there, Lemaire's there. Nick him.
Oh.
Right? So he got 4 months remanded for that, right? And he weren't there. So I've walked into this police station and he's sitting there and I can see the face in him and he's gone, what you done now? And he's trying to talk to me about anyone saying, what you done now?
I bet you if you came into custody while I was working now, I bet we'd have got on.
Well, I've just had a recent incident in a police station where I was at Ascot Races and I'd had 2 days without any sleep. I'm a workaholic. And sometimes I get 3 hours keep, you know, like I think last night was the earliest I went to bed. It was gone 11, but I was up at 5 that morning anyway to get up and I was out the door. Grafting all day, right up until I went to bed. So I was at Ascot Races presenting Lane's Clink Liquor. Of
course.
At the races. I'd only just launched my alcohol. For, what under Killing Kittens, that was it. They had their tent marquee thing. So I was in there with my alcohol. 2 days had gone without any sleep. So the event organisers come and said, look, we want you to vacate the tents now an hour early. I said, but there's still party goers on the scene. We want you off the site, everybody. Oh, God. So I've gone to get the van. People are banging on the top of the van, banging the side of the van as we're going through them. I've clipped the security guard's hand. He's gone like that. I've clipped his hand on a wing mirror. I've got arrested for suspicion of being drunk in possession of a vehicle. Mind you, I was serving the alcohol. But 4 days before that, I'd been in a chemist to get my prescription for underactive thyroid and that. And I was unable to remember my name or my address.
Fucking hell.
All right, because I've been doing the same again. And I wasn't acting bizarre, but it was bizarre. You know, I couldn't remember I said, I'm ever so sorry, I can't remember my name. Collapsed in the police station when I got in the cell.
Right.
I've got down on the floor, bang, gone. Stop breathing. All right? Stop breathing. So I've come to, sometime after, they've given me an injection of something. Would it be adrenaline? I forget what they called it. They named it. I've got it all in the report. But they found me unresponsive, unbreathing.
The custody officers did.
Custody did, right?
Yeah.
Had pipes down my throat, pipes down my nose, giving me pumps and all sorts. Blue lighted me to hospital. I came round in the ambulance because I think it's like adrenaline injection they gave me or something. So came round in the hospital. I said, "What's happening?" They said, "Listen, it's okay." Blah blah. Shaking me to keep me awake still.
Yeah.
No, Kevin, do not go to sleep. Keep awake. Keep awake. Got to the hospital. I woke up at 3:30 in the morning in the custody suite in the hospital. They're taking bloods and all the rest of it. So bearing in mind I was blue lighted, and in the report it says I'd stopped breathing in the police station minutes after being placed in the cell. They've come to me and said, we want to give you a sample. I'm unconscious, like not breathing, like I say. I've been charged with failing to provide a sample.
How long ago was this? Recent?
Some time ago. Yeah, recent, yeah. And I went to court over it. Anyway, but he was unconscious, and they've diagnosed me, the doctors diagnosed me with exhaustion, which is why I collapsed and stopped breathing. So not because I'd taken anything. They took my bloods and said minimal amount of alcohol, no drugs.
So when you were arrested, did they breathalyse you at the scene?
No.
Did they take you to a police station and put you on an intoxilizer?
No.
Why?
I'd gone by then, gone over. So I'd gone over within minutes of being in the police station and blue lighted.
Right, so you'd then collapsed in the cell, they'd take you to... But surely, the process as I understand it, if you suspect someone of drink driving, you'd breathalyse them at the scene. If you didn't have a breathalyser, you'd take them to a police station and you'd put them on an intoxilizer.
Yeah, they never breathed. 2 police officers arrested me. I walked to the vehicle, chatting away to him, said, what is going on here? They said, you've clipped someone in the vehicle. I said, but look, there was bang in the van. I said, what is going on here?
Yeah.
So we've got to take you to the police station because someone's reported you clipping them whilst you were driving. I suppose that's normal procedure. They've got to investigate it. So they took me in. My history would have gone...
Ping.
Yeah, they did. They goes, we know who you are. Straight thing they said to us, you've got to come with us. I said, no problem. You don't need to cuff me. I said, I'm coming voluntarily. There's no problem here, officers, okay? Yeah. I will come with you right now. And then I was chatting away and they go, right, coming in, off you go. So then I ducked my nut, bosh, got in the van, got to the police station, wallop, gone. And they actually said there was ambulance staff, trained police officers in the cell.
Yeah. They
said, you had stopped breathing. There was no signs of breathing life in you.
So you go to hospital and then did you give a sample or you refused because you were unconscious?
Unconscious till 3:30.
So you did. So did they ask you?
Asleep.
Right. So when you come round, did they ask you?
I said I'd give one. But by then it's too late because it's the next morning.
Oh, okay.
And they said, we don't want one now.
So they've done you for fail to provide?
Fail to provide, that's what it was. Fail to provide. However, the hospital took bloods from me as soon as I got in there. A minimal amount of alcohol is what the words that the doctor said, and no drugs.
Yeah.
So anyway, you know the outcome of the case. But you would have met me met me,
Because what I did when I worked in custody, you'd be booking people in, so you'd get to the desk, name, give your name and all that, all that you see now on 24 hours in police custody and all that. That was me. That was me behind the desk, and then, going around doing the checks. Do you want a cup of tea?
Yeah,
Doing people's fingerprints, drug testing them.
You said that I would have got on with. There was 2 staff there, okay, 2 coppers, right? And young girl, young bloke. Young bloke couldn't have been bleeding 5'5". The girl was about the same size. I was talking to him, and I said, right, what's gone on? Can you just bring me up to speed with what's gone on? Good as gold.
Yeah.
He's gone, right, look, this is what happened. You stopped breathing. There had no one else, a doctor or anyone, come to see me from when I come through at 3:30 to 8:30 the next morning.
It's not just, it's the system.
So
it's fucked.
What people say is, the system's fucked. Yeah. But if it weren't for that officer who'd been in the job 8 years, the young fella, been willing to give me some explanations, I would have been laying on that bed in silence, them in silence, me in silence, not talking, in a medical situation where I want some answers.
And that's just human decency, isn't it?
Yeah, human decency.
And he's gone, right, this is what's happened.
I sent them both a book to thank them for being so decent with me and going to get me. They said, do you want a cup of tea? You must be thirsty. I thought, you know what, the nurses haven't offered me a cup of tea. I went, yeah, I said, I'd like a cup of tea, please. Are you hungry? I said, I am hungry. They got me a sandwich. I don't know who paid for that. Okay, probably them.
Yeah. I
just don't know. And the tea. And I was grateful for that.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind...
Because, it's a hard job, After 13 years work, I've got mates that are still in there.
Yeah, I bet you have.
22, 23 years they've been working in custody. And you think, how are you still in there? It's just fucking...
I say this, whether it's prison, and I hate this type of conversations, I really do, because I'm not trying to justify anything, but I say this, thank God for the good in the job.
Yeah, because you'd have come across decent guards.
Normal people.
Yeah. I think last time we spoke, you talked about a particular guard that you were respectful of.
I've got a few that I have got a lot of time for, because I've seen them go out of their way, try to do good, never see them do bad, never see bad in their personality.
Yeah.
They were just bad times at a time in the country where there was difficult to get employment, and they came into the job, and they were decent people.
You would have seen corrupt prison officers, wouldn't you?
I never come across any. I never dealt with any, because I've never done anything corrupt with the officers.
But you hear about these things that go on, don't you? It's just like you hear about police officers being corrupt. It's the same in the prison system.
Yeah, this is the same in life. It doesn't matter if you're in the
everywhere.
construction business,
Yes.
backhanders,
Yeah.
all that underhand the table, nicking a bit of material, selling stuff off cheap, overpricing. You come in at that price, you come in at, right, that's what they've come in, and you've got to come in at that. There's a 50 grand drink in it for me.
Yeah.
All right, all
It's
that
everywhere,
carry
isn't
on.
it?
It's everywhere. And that's what people need to understand. Stop labelling the police and the prison system as corrupt.
Yeah.
Corruption is across the country
Yes.
in many areas, whether it be judges.
Yes.
Okay, oh, I know, I'll speak to my learned friend.
Yeah, absolutely, you're right. And I say this throughout, because people say, oh, you must deal with police officers that have been corrupt and blah, blah, blah. It's just everywhere.
Everywhere,
It's
yeah.
everywhere.
If I would have been ever in those jobs, either of them, because I never know which way I could have gone as a kid if my dad had been around and stuff like that. I might want to be a police officer. I want to be an upstanding police officer I see on TV, having a laugh with Sid James on, what was it he used to do, Sid James? He used to carry on laughing and all that, didn't he, right? And you come across a cop who was, I know what you're up to, Sid, and all the rest of it, And I thought, our local Bobby in Harefield Village, okay, Christmas, in his Panda, the old Panda police cars, I see him coming out of, I lived in some flat, I had shared a flat when I was 15, my mate was 18, and I left home at 15. I was working an all full-time, 2 jobs, and I see our local Bobby, we had 2, come out of a house opposite me, we'd been round for his Christmas drink, and he had his round to do. And it was well known in the village that he went round doing his Christmas drink whilst driving a police car.
Oh, yeah.
So, for me, if I'd have seen that as a young kid, thought, wow, he's a bit like us, really, isn't he? Breaking the law. You get a smack round the head if he caught you doing so, he'd hit you.
Yeah.
All right, and can't do that now, of course. But that would have stopped a lot of kids going the wrong way.
We used to have an old custody sergeant that I worked with. They wouldn't do it now. I'm sure they wouldn't do this now. But let's say a young lad had been caught nicking out his mum's purse or something, yeah? And his mum would bring him down to the police station and say, will you put him in maybe not even 10, because 10's the age of...
My mate's mum done that to him.
Yeah.
Shit his life.
Yeah. It would change your life these days. But anyway, this custody sergeant used to say, bring him in. And he used to obviously don't book him on or nothing. Just pretend. But imagine at that age...
Definitely.
Your mum taking you down because you've nicked out of a purse and saying, right, that's it, well, I'm taking you to the police station because you're a thief.
Yeah.
And them going, and the police officer or the custody sergeant being on board with it.
Yeah.
Because back in the early days, the early 2000s, we did still do that.
In the 80s, that happened to my friend, Richard Mailing. His mum took him to the police station and put him in a cell. And I remember him telling me about it.
I think you should be able to do that more now.
Oh, fighting the life out of them.
It's too far gone now.
Buggers.
Yeah, it's too far gone now.
I went into a police station a few years ago, and the custody sergeant is a boxing ref.
Ah.
And I knew him. That is, the ironicness of it, and couldn't believe it. And you'd see him at a show, reffing.
Yeah.
Next minute,
proper British board.
Next thing you know, he's in the custody suite.
Jeez.
Small world.
Yeah.
And you do get taken care of better when you behave in a police station, when you're no problem. You get in there, get your head down. No, he's no bother. More so when you pop in there and you think, I've seen you at a few boxing shows.
But you know, I always found that
I didn't even know he was a copper.
and then there he is. You're like,
And then he's in front of me.
Yeah.
Didn't even know.
See,
So I wasn't interested in what his job was.
no, I always found that the more serious the crime, the well behaved they were. So you could, you know, people coming in for, you know, I talked previously on other channels about meeting a hitman and him being the most gentlemanly person I've ever met in my life. And I was, you know, got on really well with him, sat on nights chatting to him for hours. But if people come in for sort of serious offences, and I mean like murders and kidnaps and things like that.
Throwing stones at low-flying aeroplanes.
Yeah, they were the most well-behaved.
I imagine so. More because sometimes their mindset's a bit different. They're a little bit more, I don't know if it's the word settled, but I don't know why, but maybe the crime is more serious. They've got a more serious thought pattern about them.
Yeah. And then you'd have someone coming in for a breach of the peace who's fucking smearing shit at the walls and fighting everyone that walks through the door.
Yeah, going nuts in the police station.
Yeah.
I know a few people like that.
Yeah, I did. I'm glad to not be there anymore.
Oh, God, you know, I don't ever want to be in a police station again. God, the meals are shit. But no, actually, they do takeaway meals now that I found quite all right when you get given one of them.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, they get little pre-packed meals like you might buy in the shops, Tesco's and that. Kormas.
Yes, actually, yeah. So you've got your microwave stuff like your all-day breakfast. And
Chicken, I think
Yeah,
like the kormas.
Yeah.
I liked it. Do you want another one? Yes, please. Because they were only small.
Yeah.
Good thing about a police station, you get plenty of time to get your head down.
Yeah. And do you know what now? Like, obviously, because I've spent a lot of my adult life in these environments, on the other side, if I was arrested, I'd be sound. I think I could get my head down and go to sleep easy.
Marcus,
Yeah.
arrested a little while ago for drug. He was not drunk and disorder. He got arrested for something. Oh, he'd had a tear up, right? A little couple of fellas. Took him away, put him in a cell. He's got severe epilepsy, severe something else. He's on medication that makes him sleep like you won't believe. Coppers come in the cell. Marcus. I'm tired, I'm sleeping, come back later. All right? He's come back later. He's gone, Marcus, you've got to go for interview. I'm not really, I'm still tired, come back later. He's gone, this ain't a fucking holiday camp. Get up, the copper goes to him. You've got to be interviewed.
Yeah, I've dealt with many people like that.
It's crackers, isn't it?
Your head down, you know. As long as you ain't got someone banging the door next to you.
Oh, nightmare.
Worst, the whole
shouting all night because they're on drugs,
Yeah.
whatever. Shouting.
Kicking the door.
Oh, bloody
off.
night.
Yeah.
They're like little rabbit warrens in them police stations now, and some of them, they're so big, they go down this way, that way, that way.
Super blocks, they're called.
Is it?
Yeah,
To
so you've
hold
got
in.
60 cell.
Yeah,
blocks.
super
Back
blocks.
when I worked in there, you know, you'd have a maximum of about 17 cells. But they
Yeah.
closed all the small ones down. And in the West Midlands, they built 2 super blocks to cover the whole Falls area. Like 60 cells there, 60 cells there. And they've got wings now, like you'd have in
Yeah.
prison. So you'd have like A, B, C.
It was an eye-opener for me when I first went in one, as it was an eye-opener for me when I came home from prison and went into a prison cell again.
Because the technology as well is massively progressive.
That is
so-
what it was.
Yeah.
Technology, and even the format of the cells changed a little, but the technology.
Yeah. Because I would imagine, when did you first go to prison?
1990. Well, for the murder,
Yeah.
1994. I was arrested and went to prison in 95.
Yeah. So when I first worked in custody suites, it was still ink, fingerprints.
Yeah.
So obviously, as time progressed, we moved on to live scan, which is obviously...
Yeah, roller.
Yeah, but when I first worked in there, my work shirts would be covered in ink.
Yeah.
Because you were taking people's fingerprints constantly, you know, throughout the whole shift.
Yeah.
And you're rolling them and you're rolling the
Yeah.
palms to get it on. And even this bit, yeah?
Yeah, that's right.
The
Like
side
that.
view, because...
Yeah.
If you're a burglar back in the day and you used to do this through the windows.
Do you remember when they did a geezer's ear? He was a rapist.
Yes, I
And
do.
they took ear prints.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Back when I first started working in there, you could still smoke in the cells.
Yeah.
The fingerprints were in.
Have food brought in.
Food brought in, clothes brought in. And if you were full, so say like you had 17 cells, but you went over.
Double up.
You just double them up.
Yeah, I never had a double up, but yeah.
And there wasn't many constant watches then through suicide.
Like now, manipulating the
Everyone
system.
now is on a level 3, level 4 constant.
Crackers though, isn't it?
Whereas back then, if someone said they were suicidal, you just put them in with someone and go watch him.
You got to have, the amount of times that I've seen someone sitting outside a cell door with the door open.
Yeah, I've done that many a time.
The staff resources that could be out finding a kid or stopping something going on. Crackers, because they might have, I am, what do they call it? Mental health issues.
Yeah, well, that's everywhere now, isn't it? But I remember doing a cell door watch of a woman that had killed her own baby. And this fucked me up for ages, this did. I've talked about it previously, but basically she'd given the baby methadone because she wanted to take her drugs in peace. And the baby was of crib age. So, you know, she gave the baby some methadone, gave it too much, and the baby died. She got arrested and she came into custody, and I was on a cell door watch of this woman. And at the time, do you know what? Looking back, it never should have fucking happened, because I'd just come back off maternity leave after having my second son, who was the same age as this baby. And the first day back off maternity leave, hello everyone, I'm back. I've been off for 4 months on maternity. Where do you want me? Oh, on a cell door watch of that woman that's just killed her baby that's the same age as you. And I was, do you know what? Looking back, it never should have happened. But I remember, for years and years after that, I could never give my kids Calpol because I was scared of overdosing them on Calpol.
It's crackers.
This how much it fucked me up. It ain't methadone. I've got no methadone in my house, have I?
Yeah.
But I was, you know, I'd read that box of Calpol over and over again, and I'd check the syringe. You know, they could only have like fucking 5 ml of Calpol. That's not going to hurt them because they're teething or whatever. And I was so paranoid of overdosing them.
Temperature.
Yeah, they might have a temperature or they're teething or whatever.
Yeah.
And you have Calpol in your house because that's what you do. I was fucking shit scared. It traumatised me, that did.
It's crackers when you look at things like that. Let me ask you something about, as a professional in the job, experience of a professional in the job. Have you ever heard of an investigation being instigated by the Chief Constable of Police of, say, West Midlands Police Force?
Okay.
That investigation in that job is conducted by its own police force. Normally it should be done by an outside police force. Yeah? But sometimes they maybe do their own investigations. I don't know that, but I'm just surmising. So the police constable instructed the investigation to be conducted. They instructed their own police force to investigate the case. Senior police officers, detective inspectors, what's the one above detective inspector?
Detective Chief Inspector.
Definitely detective inspector, okay, so, and one below him, and other officers. So when this police force were conducting an investigation, one, they was not allowed to see all of the paperwork in the case. They could only see some of the paperwork in the case. And then the officers that was conducting the original investigation of the case that was being investigated, refused to be interviewed.
I've heard of that.
Have you?
Yeah.
And the reason I ask that is, like, how can you refuse your chief constable's order of the police force that you work for?
Because so I'm guessing they were under sort of like the Police and Criminal Evidence Act that they were going to interview them. Anyone can refuse to be interviewed, can't they? So you could go into a custody suite, like your mate who's asleep. He could have just said, "Fuck off, I ain't being interviewed. I'm half asleep."
But you would not expect that from a police officer.
Yeah.
I
suppose the same conditions apply if you're under caution.
Okay, so this is where we're talking about, like, you've got knowledge of the police force where your insight is proved useful, because for myself sitting in now and that question I've just asked you, I thought, well, how can you disobey your chief constable's order? You're a serving police officer.
But if he's ordering an investigation to take place, he hasn't got to order you to speak. Because if you're under caution, you may not have to say anything, but whatever you do say might be given evidence. You might, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do,
You don't have to speak.
in law.
So if you're having an interview under caution, you could sit there in silence, or you could just refuse to be interviewed. Because it happens, doesn't it? You could be arrested for the most serious of crimes and say, I ain't being interviewed. What are they going to do? Drag you in there?
Yeah, it astounded me when I learnt what I've just asked you, in that my understanding of it was they wouldn't have been able to refuse a direct order. But of course, now you've explained it to me, it shed a different light on the matter.
As I understand it, you can order an investigation to take place. But if there's a subject identified in that investigation, you can't order them to speak, just like a judge couldn't make you talk in court.
The subject, though, in question is not a subject under, like you'd been arrested for a crime. It was an investigation in relation to how the investigation took place and so on and so forth.
But I think, I'm pretty sure with the same applies.
Yeah,
You're still going to have to be cautioned. And the caution... Because are we talking sort of a misconduct caution or a criminal caution? You don't have to say anything. But whether you do say, maybe giving an evidence. Yeah,
I don't know the full particulars, but I do know the case quite well because it's in my book. So you'll have, and it's called Operation Cactus.
Okay.
And the investigating officers refused to be interviewed by their colleagues, and the investigating officers were refused access to some of the papers in the case.
Yeah, and this is another area, isn't it? Because, when you've got sort of certain investigations, I was watching something on the telly the other day, and they'd started an operation, can't remember what it was called, it was about a murder. And the SIO basically said to the detectives on the team, there's more about this job that I can't tell you than I can tell you.
Yeah.
And this is the thing, you see, it's never transparent. Very rarely, there's always something going on.
It's been an eye-opener for me, the understanding of the criminal justice system over the years, with the stonewalling and the relationships between prosecutor and police. It built up a strong relationship in that area. You're arresting people in the area. So, I do believe it's the common phrase is, it's not what you know, it's who you know. It's definitely is a strong supporting factor within the police for convictions
and it's the same
acquittals,
for even
or acquittals, by saying, look, we'll do a deal in terms of, like, we'll say, look, you plead guilty to this if you drop that.
Yeah, and these things go on all the time.
You get on well with him, look, drop that. It's a bit of a hard battle. We've got him on that. Do we want to take him to trial on that? It's a waste of taxpayers' money.
Yeah.
He's going to go guilty. And then, so that if you get on well with the prosecutor, and you go, all right, we'll do it, because they're known. So, like you say,
and these things happen, and it happens within the police force as well, because, like you say, it's not what you know. If someone goes for a promotion, I've been overtaken. I'll go for a job to get a leg up at certain stages throughout my time there.
You want a leg over in the police job?
No, well,
and that was really.
But then it'll be, I'll have been picked to the post by someone that's retired on the Friday, steps into that job on the Monday.
Yeah.
Jobs for the boys, etc.
Yeah, bloody crackers, that, isn't it? When you just say now about, I was going to say to you about promotion, or I completely went out of word when some come in on this. It's been great. So you've enjoyed your interview today?
I have.
I've thoroughly enjoyed it. It's been very good. You're a good insight, and I hope that the viewers, if you've got any questions, then please, by all means, send them in to myself or Hayley Owens. She's got her own platforms. Your platforms are?
Spin Justice.
Oh, that's right, yeah, Spin Justice.
Yeah.
Duh. Oh.
The Spin, by the way, I've got a little side hustle.
Duh's to me for forgetting it, by the way, not you.
Yeah, the Spin side of it is my side hustle.
Explain that a little bit, come on.
Yeah, so I teach indoor cycling, Spin.
Oh, cool, do you? I took classes in that in prison.
So many people say, why is it called Spin Justice? And I said, so basically, when at points throughout my life where I've been rock bottom with my mental health and I've had therapy, the things that used to pull me out were exercise and music. So I've been consistent with exercising to music over the years because it keeps me on an even keel mentally, yeah? So a few years ago, I started going to spin classes because I couldn't run anymore and whatnot. So the consultant says to me, you can't run, you need to swim or cycle. So I started swimming, but it was boring. So I started going to spin classes.
Spin's hard, graft.
Really fucking hard. So I'd go to some classes and some of the instructors were brilliant and some of them were so shit that I thought I could do better than this myself. So I didn't tell anybody. I took myself off to Bristol and I did an intense course to become an instructor. So I got this qualification, still haven't told anyone at this point. And then I thought, right, how am I going to get this off the ground? This was 3 years ago. And then I just approached a local gym that had just a couple of bikes at the time and said, listen, I want to start doing a weekly class with me as the instructor. What do you say? Yeah, of course you can. So at the time they had 6 bikes, yeah. This was 3 years ago and I was doing 1 class a week. Well, it's grown that much that now I teach every day at different gyms around my area with sort of like 20 bikes here.
Yeah,
bikes
big
there.
classes, yeah.
Yeah, I've bought bikes myself, like, because that gym only had a few bikes and they had no budget. Okay, that's fine. I've found a job lot on eBay. I'm going to go and buy them and put them in. So we've built it up over the years. So now I've sort of got waiting lists on all my classes and I teach every day. Change the music every week, change the choreography every week.
I love them. I've got bone on bone, but I say the spin, that's why I can't do that, but loved it. With the right music,
Yeah.
it can get you into the mood,
Yeah.
speed up, slow it down.
Because you can do lots to the different beats. You know, you can have
Yeah.
a slower beat where you could do a heavy hill climb.
Yeah.
Or you could have a really fast beat that you can do a sprint to and everything in between.
And
So-
enjoy it while you're there.
Yeah, and I'm very passionate about it. You can see it lights me up when I talk about it.
Yeah, it does.
But that's why when I left the police and I started teaching the spin as a side hustle, I then
I bet it's better money now and all.
Yeah, it's all right. It's okay, but it's not about the money for me. It keeps me even. And I've built up these communities in the different gyms that I work at. And it's just a nice, you know, it brings a creative side of me out that I can sit and do a playlist and, you know, on the way home, I'll be doing press-ups on the steering wheel down the motorway because I'll
yeah.
because I'll be
That's
listening
what you
to
do on the
music.
bike now, didn't you?
Yeah, so I'll be listening to something and I'll be like, oh, I can do this to that.
Left hand down, all right over, yeah, God, I used to do all that.
So that's why I called it Spin Justice.
I should have asked you that,
Not
really.
many people do ask, and people are shocked when I say the answer because obviously I'm very passionate about injustice, but through looking after my own mental health, I do spin.
Well, we both recognise, so in prisons, you're down the gym, beasting yourself, you're running on the yard, doing on the field, whatever you got to do. That form, my partner Gemma, she loves her classes,
Yeah.
what she does, because it releases all of that anxiety.
Yes.
Whether it's man or woman, we all do it. A lot of us all do it for many reasons.
Yeah.
Look good, feel good factor, but the release of poxy stress that is bent up inside of you.
Yeah. And I think the thing for me as well, because I've got a class of people waiting for me, I have to go.
Yeah.
And I don't instruct from the floor. I do it with them on the bike.
How many classes do you do a day?
I
an evening?
do 1 a day now. I was doing 2 a day on certain days, but I've dropped a few.
That's hard.
It is when I'm still working. I'm still an investigator. I'm a single mum to 2 kids and I'm running a house by myself. So with doing all these classes as well, it is hard.
You know, you're finishing late.
Yeah,
the
yeah,
evening.
sometimes, yeah.
So if you say you had a class at 6,
Yeah,
and you got, because you got to wait for people to finish work.
yeah. Well, this morning I've done a class at 7:15.
Of course, you're at both ends of the
Yeah,
clock,
So
aren't
this
you?
morning I was up at 6. I was out over the field with my dogs because they've got to be walked.
Yeah.
And then I'm back home, feed the dogs, get up the gym, teach the class, back home, shower, in the car here.
What dogs you got?
I've got an American Bulldog.
Right.
She's 40 kilos, massive thing. And I've just rescued, I was telling Christian before, I've just rescued one from Cyprus. I've started doing some work with dog shelters in Cyprus, one in particular. And we've recently brought a few over, you know, to the UK to give them a better life. Because they're quite abused in other countries.
Well, donkeys over there, abused,
Yeah,
aren't they?
yeah. So I've been doing
Can you
some
have got
work.
a donkey?
I know, yeah. Get a donkey over. I'd been working at this particular shelter, fell in love with 2 dogs. Couldn't have them both at mine. So my parents have got one at their house. I've got one at my house with my American
You're like a
Bulldog.
foster mum now,
So
aren't you?
now, do you know what though? You know, they say if give jobs to a busy person, they'll get it done.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel like, oh yeah, it's fine. We'll just take another dog. That's no problem. Yeah, I'm going to fly back out to Cyprus, help out in the shelter. The kids will go to their dads. I'll have a week off work. You know, just get it done. And it just fits in.
You're very busy, aren't you? Then
busy.
obviously, God, that and I know how hard that, and many other viewers will know. Spinning, you ache. You put some grafting on them bikes. you're tired.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
come
yeah.
out soaking in sweat.
And I'm a sweaty person, so within sort of like 5-6 minutes.
Yeah, you don't smell or anything like that now, I've got to tell you. You're not a stinker.
But, you know, it's a joke in my classes because within the warm-up, I'm dripping onto the bike, you know, and like it's fucking
That's a
flinging
great
everywhere.
feeling when you've got a puddle.
Yeah.
A puddle of water on the floor.
This morning, that class, you know, got people walking out. Thanks very much. Great class.
They've gone out loving it, yeah.
You know, it's
Everyone,
like 8 o'clock in the
they're
morning.
buzzing
Yeah.
when they're going to work.
Yeah.
I can see the mythology in that, and you have 20 or 30 bikes in front of you.
But yeah, and it's graft, isn't it?
You know the bikes that you can buy now.
Yeah.
The Peloton.
Peloton.
Yeah, they're good, aren't
brilliant.
they? You can Zoom. You can log on to other classes, can't you?
Yeah, you can. Very interactive. You know, you can be doing an interactive class from your living room. So.
Can you do that on your ones? You haven't got them.
No.
They're expensive, aren't they? Really expensive.
They are. Some gyms that I work at have got similar, but our ones are generally. You can have like a colour aspect, so you can coach by colour. So I'm qualified to do that, where we can all see each other's lights on the front. So I can say to them, we want to be in the red zone. We want to be in, if we're doing a sprint, we might want to be in the blue zone. If we're doing a heavy hill, we might want to be in the red. You know, things like that. So we can coach that way. But not everyone's there for the same thing, don't forget. You know, some people are there to get physically fit. Some people are there just to have a break from the kids.
A break, yeah.
I just want a break for the mental health. So I'm very keen not to get shouting in people's faces because not everyone's there for the same reason. And I'm very much fighting for my own life on the bike because I'm like, you know, I do it every day and I'm physically cardio fit. But, you know, not everyone's at the same level, are they?
That's your muscles.
Oh, I'm not strong. Not at the moment. When I was in the police, I used to do like CrossFit and things like that.
I was going to say that my next question to you was in the police force. Did you obviously trained in the
train
police?
with the like CrossFit team and things like that and lift, but it fucked me up in the end because I thought I'd lift the same as the blokes and I'd end up with a bulging disc because I've lifted the same. And at this moment in time, I'm more about the physical, you know, on the bike.
And you get a good muscle workout on that anyway, all over.
I'll do press ups and I'll do squats on there. Some people will say, "Oh, what you do is dancing on a bike." I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, try it.
Yeah.
And you got big men do it and all.
Oh yeah.
And it's no easy task that because you can really, your lactic acid intolerance can go through the roof.
Yeah.
With the rower and the bike, the cross trainer, in my considered opinion, that you can get used to having massive amounts of pain, which is for endurance to keep going, which is the lactic acid burn, isn't it?
And we get to that point in the classes. You must have been there yourself, where you're at such a cardio burn that you feel physically sick.
Yeah.
You know, your chest's on fire.
Yeah.
We get to that point. You know, I do some classes are longer than others. I do some 30 minutes, some 45 minute, you know, different levels of intensity. I mean, my classes are quite high intense anyway. So it's not for the faint-hearted.
I wouldn't suppose you got, I bet it isn't, much time to train when you was in the police force? Because you can do really extended shifts, can't you?
For me, it wouldn't be in my work time. I'd be doing it in my home time, you know. And at the times when I was going through some quite intense therapy, it was actually really important for me to exercise because it was that release. I was having to exercise. I remember once, for a period of about 6 months, I remember meditating every single day, going to the gym every single day, not drinking for 6 months, because I was that unwell that I would have done it. You know, I needed to stick to this regime to get myself better.
Did you drink more when you was under that pressure? Because it's a heavy drinking profession, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm a drinker anyway. I go through periods of time of drinking more and not. I'm drinking more. I like a beer to wind down. I like a glass of red wine to wind down. That's who I am.
How did you get on with my hooch?
Loved it. Strong though.
Well, I'll send you some more. Got some lovely passion fruit.
Is it 16? Was it 16?
Might have been 16 or 18 what I sent you.
It was 16.
What did you have?
It was like a champagne cocktail.
Oh, you had the original, based on the original hooch, but I made it with champagne yeast, so it becomes like a Bucks Fizz. Yes. But it's made with champagne yeast, so I will get you some. Christian's got one over there, it's a cherry. I've given some staff here his other 2 bottles, but I'll replace them. But I'll get you another 2 flavours up to you.
Yeah.
And one's like, the most common word they use with these flavours is, when I've done exhibitions at the Confex in the Excel in London, which is the entertainment industry, and I did the Fair and Beer Wine Festival at the Olympia for 3 days. Wine tasters coming up and going, oh my God, this is what they all say, oh my God, this is dangerous. Not always, but predominantly, the most common word used, this is dangerous, because they do. Oh,
yeah.
No, it's not fizzy, the other ones.
No, it goes down like
Goes down like, you think you're drinking juice out of a carton.
Yeah.
It's delicious and sweet and cool.
Yeah.
So I'll get you a couple of those bottles. You'll see her on the roof of her house this time next week on Midlands Police. News, Midlands News. Lagging drunk with my bottles.
Yeah. I'll go get my head down in a cell.
Get your head down.
Yeah.
Well, I'd just like to say thank you so much, Hayley. Honestly.
Thank you.
Absolute pleasure, okay? And she definitely does that bike ride. She just crushed my hand. It's been an excellent interview. I hope you've enjoyed it, folks. I find it's been quite eye-opening and entertaining, maybe a little bit different from Hayley. I ad-lib. I don't have any... My partner, Gemma, has done in the past. On a few occasions, she gave me 4 or 5 questions, and they're always really good questions. But today, I've done what I normally do. I ad-lib, and you never know where it's going to take you.
It's always the best way.
Yeah, do you find that when you do yours?
Yeah, when I interview people, I generally set out a plan of what I want to get out of them, but at the same time, it goes off on tangents here, there and everywhere. Yeah, it's the best way.
You can't help it, can you? I thoroughly enjoy interviewing people with a good history, good conversationalists. Like, she's got none.
Boring. Yeah.
I must say, you must have enjoyed it, because I have thoroughly enjoyed it. You can get Fitted Up and Fighting Back through Amazon or Kevin Lane books. There are some other establishments that sell it, but I don't really remember who they are. Lane's Clink Liquor, you can get that as well. So message me with that. And look forward to some upcoming interviews. I'm going to start doing a few more. So apologise for my break. I've been so busy with Lane's Clink Liquor, just haven't had the time. But thank you for your time. We'll take care and learn from what we've both discussed today. All the best.